What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here to do my post-game analysis video for the dominant win over the Carolina Panthers yesterday at Hard Rock Stadium. Before I get into that, though, I just want to say that I'm not going to talk about playoffs. I might, allude to it a little bit or mention it, but I'm not really going to talk about it until my Wednesday video of how to get to the playoffs with the updated, draft order and stuff like that. So check out my full comments and thoughts on it for there in that video. I want to focus on just this game, but I will say that one of the things that I will say are that, with the performance that they put on yesterday and obviously getting the win, now being at 5-7, and with the way that some of the things have been turning out with the rest of the league and some of these other teams at the top of the AFC, obviously things are still continuing to get, a bit jumbled up, and there are certainly going to be opportunities. So make sure you do check out that video because we are going to go through the different ways that we can make it to the playoffs in that video. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on the task at hand and discuss the, again, dominant win over the Carolina Panthers. And look, was it perfect? No, there are a handful of things that we will talk about. One of the things I'll throw off the bat is, there were some bad snaps. We're going to talk about penalties and stuff too. Obviously, penalties are still been an issue. Jason Sanders missed an extra point. So it wasn't perfect, but this definitely, it was, not only was it a dominant win, obviously, so both teams are now 5-7. We won 33-10. Obviously, the score would indicate that. But it was one of the things that does give you some room for optimism is that they played one of the most complete games that we've seen out of this team the entire season, offensively, defensively, and special teams, obviously, because 7 of those points that we got came off of special teams, and the offense was able to put up 26 points of their own, getting to, a little bit above league average, which I think is around 24 points. So there's a lot of good to talk about. We're going to go through, the league standings and stuff too, of course. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So obviously 33-10, we are now 5-7. The next 2 games for sure look like they could be winnable games. Feel confident about going into the Giants and the Jets games, being able to predict a win. With the way New Orleans is played, that's a winnable game. Tennessee, they are sustaining some injuries. Top wide receivers, offensive line, obviously Derrick Henry's out. So they're starting to have some issues and could potentially be a winnable team. We'll see how it goes. I don't think it's going to be a breeze. But really the hardest one is that last game in New England. So there are going to be some opportunities for this team. They do just got to keep building on what they've been doing and hopefully build some consistency, particularly on offense, because if they can do that, then they certainly have a chance. All right, so let's dive in. We had 315 total yards to their 198, 204 passing yards to their 134, our 111 rushing yards to their 64. The one little nitpicky thing that I will say is you would like to see a little bit more, production from the offense. However, they didn't really need to because they did get set up in good field position quite often with turnovers and stuff like that. So not necessary, again, just kind of a little nitpicky thing, but nothing serious. Obviously, they did what they had to do. When they got it in short field position, they were able to score. When they had to drive down the field, they were able to score. So positives. You would like the yards per play to be a bit higher than the 4.4, but it's all right. It's decent. It's again, an area that needs to be improved on, but kind of nitpicky still. And they held the Panthers to 3.7. We did have the 1 fumble, but we did win the turnover margin overall because we got 3 interceptions, 42% on third down. That's a solid number. You don't hate it. It's a good place to be. 42. It's a good place to be. Over 50% would be nice, and some of the more elite offenses are, can hover around that number. It's hard to get, that number, to be fair, and we are actually one of the better, I think, when we get to it in a minute. I think we're 10th currently in the NFL on offensive third down. So by no means an issue and very good. That's definitely one of the bright spots. But let's go ahead and say, just like when you look at the rest of this offense that has nearly all to do with Tua and his ability to elevate this offense, mask the offensive line issues. It allows you to open up things in the play calling, and so on and so forth. His quick release, his ability to manipulate the pocket, all of these things that he's able to do. And he's great on third downs too. He's actually shown that when he's been able to help us convert on third downs. And so 42%, you like to see it. You like to see holding them to 28%. You like this time of possession, 37-34 to their 22-26. And penalties still need to get cleaned up, for sure. But, this was one of their lower penalty totals so far in the season, of 5 to their 7. So let's continue on. Tua was 27 for 31, 87.1% completion percentage, 230 yards, 1 touchdown, and the 108.3 passer rating. He has been doing great since he's been back in the lineup. Cam Newton was only 5 of 21 for 23.8%, 92 yards, 2 interceptions, and a 5.8 passer rating. Philip Walker, 5 of 10 for 50%, 87 yards, 1 interception, and a 40.4 passer rating. Obviously, because Cam Newton ended up getting benched in that game after a terrible performance. Myles Gaskin led the way, 16 rushes, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 3-1. Philip Lindsay, who looked pretty good in his limited action and with what he had, is an encouraging sign for the offense and for the run game in particular. But also, too, on that big, it may have been, I think it was the touchdown, right? That big gainer to Jalen Waddle, that was the touchdown play. It potentially would not have been if it weren't for an amazing block by Philip Lindsay on Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick was beaming down, ready to, just light Tua up, and he was able to actually step into that throw and get it to Waddle because Philip Lindsay put some wood on Hassan Reddick and gave him the time to do so. So that definitely could be, I like the signing. I did see it to be a little bit unnecessary or redundant, I guess, is really the better way to say it because of all of the guys that they had. But at the same time, as I had mentioned before, it definitely is an upgrade in the room overall, and that is an example of it. But in rushing, he was 12 for 42 and a 3.5. Ahmed added 5 for 17 and a 3.4. Christian McCaffrey had 10 rushes, 35 yards, and a 3.5. Real quick about that, though, we did kind of luck out a little bit, similar to last week, actually, because each of these teams' top running backs, like last week, Michael Carter was killing us on the ground until he got injured and had to leave. Same thing actually happened. We did kind of luck out a little bit in this way. To be fair, when Christian McCaffrey was on the field, the Dolphins defense did a pretty good job of keeping him contained. And as I had said, if they can do that, I'm not worried about Cam Newton and the rest of the offense. If Christian McCaffrey goes off, then I think those other guys can contribute enough. And when you look at the numbers DJ Moore had, and with the rushing touchdown that Cam Newton had, which obviously he was 3 rushes, 5 yards, a touchdown, and 1.7. They could have been more dangerous. And if they would have had more opportunities to be in the red zone, maybe Cam Newton would have had another rushing touchdown or whatever, right? So again, it was just, for me, it was completely circumstantial. To be clear, when I was on Larry's channel the other day and yesterday in Reasons Postgame, in case, it was not understood, I wasn't saying that Cam Newton was going to be able to take the game over and completely run through us and destroy our defense. No, what I was saying is that if Christian McCaffrey is able to be successful, then I think Newton would be a good complementary piece, or, a successful and potentially efficient. Now, to be fair, too, he was actually super inaccurate yesterday. It was partly because of pressure we were getting on him, but partly because Cam Newton is not the same Cam Newton of old. But that's why we weren't worried about him. It was only under the current the circumstance and context if McCaffrey was able to have a good game, and especially if he was able to get going early, which obviously wasn't the case, because when he was on the field, he was pretty much shut down, and then he, got injured, and they put him on injured reserve. The news was today that McCaffrey went on injured reserve, so we did potentially, now we'll never know because he got hurt. We'll never know if he was able to play the rest of the game. Would he have been a factor? Would he have helped to have opened up the Panthers offense a bit more and thus allowed, DJ Moore's production to be more, of an effect on the game, to allow Cam Newton to be a little bit better? Who knows? Obviously, because he's not there. I think he likely would have. Would they have won because of it? I don't know. Those are obviously things we can't say. Obviously, I predicted them to get a win, so I thought that it likely would have been the case. But we'll never know. So we did kind of luck out in that way. But again, to be fair, when he was on the field, they did pretty much keep him in check. Sean Chandler had 1 rush for 14 yards, and that was that. Jalen Waddle led the way for us. He had a career day, at least when it came to receiving yards. He was 9 of 10 for 137 and a touchdown. Durham Smythe 5 of 5 for 32 yards. Gesicki 3 of 3 for 17. Wilson 5 of 6 for 17. Isaiah Ford 1 of 2 for 11. DJ Moore, as you can see, was 4 of 10, and this was only on 4 catches for 10 out of 10 attempts for 103 yards. And so that's what I'm saying, if Christian McCaffrey could have taken some of the heat off of our pass rush and was more effective and stayed healthy throughout the game, maybe it would have, given DJ Moore more opportunities, etc., etc. Who knows? But it is what it is, because the Dolphins defense was damn dominant and they handled business, and that's really the big takeaway. Obviously, we don't need to harp on the what ifs if Christian McCaffrey would have been, through in the game the entire way. Brandon Zalister was 1 of 2 for 24. Amir Abdullah 2 of 6 for 20. Robbie Anderson 1 of 4 for 15. Alex Erickson 1 of 1 for 13. Defensively, now it's really weird, and this is a nitpicky thing again that I talk about the tackle totals, and when you look at these tackles, man, there really weren't many but again, they didn't really even necessarily need to, because they did get the Panthers off the field. So while it is true that I would like to see total tackles up over 40 and see at least 25 assisted tackles, when you take it into the context of the game, with the way that we were getting the Panthers off the field really quickly, it actually makes sense, because they weren't out there for very long. Right? So the Panthers were constantly kicking after just a handful of plays, went 3 and out a couple times. Then you add in the interceptions and the turnovers, right? So they actually didn't have to be on the field a lot. But then when you also balance that, obviously, with the 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions for 16 yards, and the 10 passes defensed, well then, it definitely balances out. So again, that would be a nitpicky thing, but even in this case and in this context, it's not really, because I think they actually did a phenomenal job in the context of how the game played out. But anyway, Phillips, who had a monster day, had 3 solo tackles. He led the way for us. 3 solo tackles, 1 assisted, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and a pass defense. One reason why I say it's kind of funny, though, is because normally, as you guys know, to even be put on my list here, to be put on the list, players either have to have at least 3 solo tackles or they have to have some additional stats. And there were so many players with additional stats like sacks, tackles for loss, passes defensed, and whatever, that I ended up having to put a bunch of players that had 1 solo tackle, 2 solo tackles. Adam Butler didn't have any tackles, period, but he had the passes defense. So that's why it's just funny, the content, but that's why context matters, right? But anyway, Christian Wilkins, 2 solo tackles, 3 assisted with a sack and a tackle for loss. Nick Needham, 2 solo, 2 assisted with an interception and a pass defense. Emmanuel Ogbah, 2 solo, 1 assisted, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss and a pass defense. Baker, 2 solo, 1 assisted with a tackle for loss. Roberts, 2 solo, 1 assisted and a tackle for loss. Javaris Davis, who unfortunately got hurt in this game. We did have a couple guys get hurt. Other than that, though, if I'm keeping it real, I don't even remember who or when. It was like 2 or 3 guys in the entire game that did get nicked up, but the game was overall so good that I just pretty much forgot about it. So I guess it's good. I mean, hopefully those guys get healthy and are all right, but and I'm sorry to forget about you, but the game was good. So anyway, he had 2 solo tackles and a pass defense. Eric Rowe, 1 solo, 4 assisted and a pass defense. Van Ginkel had 1 solo, 1 assisted and a pass defense. Zach Sealer, 1 solo, 1 assisted and a pass defense. Howard, 1 solo tackle, the interception for 16 yards and a pass defense. Holland, and we'll get to the league standings in a minute, but we're first in the league still with passes defense. Holland had one solo tackle, the one interception and a pass defense, and Butler added in a pass defense. And that overall defensive stat line, that's why I said even though the tackles seem a little low, under the context of the game, it's perfectly fine, and they did a wonderful job, especially with the other bits of this stat line that you have here: 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, and 10 passes defense. That's pretty incredible. On the other side, though, because our offense was on the field so much and moving around, that is why you do see their tackle totals up there. But obviously, they didn't have a lot of the other stuff that goes along with it, and they weren't able to get the Dolphins off the field in the same fashion that we were. And so that's why you see some disparity there and why they have a lot more tackles. But Shaq Thompson led the way for them, 10 solo, 3 assisted. Dante Jackson, 10 solo, 1 assisted, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defense. Jeremy Chin, 5 solo, 2 assisted with a pass defense. Brian Burns, 4 solo tackles, 2 assisted, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. Bravion Roy, 4 solo, 2 assisted. Daquan Jones, 3 solo, 2 assisted. Miles Hartsfield, 3 solo, 1 assisted, and a tackle for loss with an, nope, I'm sorry, he did not have an interception. That needs to come out because we didn't throw any interceptions. Anyway, continuing on, Justin Burris, 3 solo, 1 assisted. CJ Henderson, 3 solo tackles. Phil Hoskins, 2 solo with a sack and a tackle for loss. And Frankie Luvu added in a fumble recovery. All in total, see, they have 58 total solo tackles with 23 assisted. Generally speaking, well, 58, I mean, we don't have to get there. I generally say like 40 or above is good, 25-ish assisted tackles. But that's generally speaking for like an average game where things are a bit more balanced. Anyway, obviously, because we kicked the shit out of them, so it was a pretty one-sided game. 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, fumble recovery, and 2 passes defensed. In the kicking game, Jason Sanders was 2 of 2 on his field goals, long of 46. Obviously, again, one of the, few mistakes or few, little issues or whatever in this game. Again, it wasn't completely perfect, but there weren't very many things to critique about this game. One of them was that Jason Sanders missed an extra point, but honestly, do we really care with the rest of the context of the game? No, of course not. I'm still going to talk about it because I like to give full context, but we don't really give a shit when you look at the full picture. So it is what it is. Hopefully, and I feel like, he's probably just up in his head this year and with the way that things have been playing out. So hopefully he can just get his mental stuff settled and so he can get back to being Mr. Automatic. Zane Gonzalez had 1 field goal attempt. He was good, long of 41, and his 1 extra point. Pilardi was 4 punts for a 40.5 average with 4 inside the 20, a long of 46. He actually had a solid day. Lachlan Edwards, 5. And of course, again, one of the most complete games we've seen. Special teams got us 7 points on that blocked field goal, or blocked punt, 5 punts for 52.2 average, none inside the 20 though, with a long of 58. We had no kickoff returns, neither did they. Our punt returns were Javon Holland, 2 for a 9.5 average, with a long of 12, and Waddle had 1 for 7. All right, now let's get to these league standings. So Dolphins, and most of it is good. As you're going to see here, there is a ton of green. There is very little red. There's a couple gray here where we didn't move in position, but really just this one little bit of red, which isn't even very much. It was just a marginal decrease in passing yards per game. But let's take a look at this. So we move up from 22nd to 19th in total yards on the season with 3,730. We moved up 1 spot from 26th to 25th in per game average with a marginal increase from 310.5 to 310.8. We had a 1 spot jump up in total passing from 2,984 up from 13th to 12th. Our per game average, though, again, a marginal decrease down from 250.4 to 248.7. So obviously not the direction you want to go in, but who cares, because the rest of it's been really good, right? At least in the context of this game, and certainly over the past few weeks, things have been improving overall, and Tua is the primary reason for the offensive league standings improving. And when it comes to total yards, passing yards, obviously he doesn't control the run game, but points, all of that is directly contributed to Tua's ability to elevate this offense, mask the offensive line, and so on and so forth, elevate the players around him. We do drop from 15th down to one spot to 16th. When it comes to rushing, we move up one spot from 29th to 28th with 962 total yards. We have a slight increase in per game average from 77.4 to 80.2. There is no move, though, in league standings. We remain at 31st in the league with rushing. Points per game, we're now at 234 total, which is up from 23rd to 21st or 18th after ties. When it comes to points per game, we do move up from 18.3 per game to 19.5, which moves us from 26th to 24th, 19th after ties. And as I previously mentioned, on third downs, we are actually 10th in the league at 42.1%. So pretty good there. You'll like to see it. Defensively, we do have a bit of an increase from 29th up to 23rd in total yards, from 382.8 down to 367.4. Obviously, we had a dominant defensive performance against the Panthers. Love to see it. We don't move any spots in passing yards. We remain at 29th, but we do have a little bit of a decrease in per game average from 290.8 to 281.5. We move up 3 spots from 13th up to 10th in rushing yards per game allowed, dropping from 108.6 to 104.9. We love to see that, and obviously Raekwon Davis being back after his injury was a big part of that. And also, to be fair, even though I still view him as a second-round pick at this point, maybe a high second-round pick, he's moving up because he has gotten a little bit better. I think he's, with this past game, he got a sack, and I think that is a career high for him. So, he is improving, and he's getting close to a first-round pick. Still, let's say a high second round pick, though, still for me. I want to see a lot more consistency from him. But he's getting there. He's still got a little ways to go before he earns a mid first round grade from me. But he is getting there. But it is in large part because of those guys, and certainly with Raekwon Davis being back. Points, though, we have a decrease from 24.5 to 23.3 given up, which takes us from 23rd up to 19th or 17th after ties. We got 3 takeaways in this game. Obviously, the 3 interceptions, which takes us from 16 up to 19 on the season. That's good for a position upgrade from 9th up to 8th or 5th after ties. We got the 3 interceptions, so we go from 7 to 10, 21st up to 15th, 8th after ties. We didn't get any fumbles, but we do remain at 9 on the season and 4th in the league or 3rd after ties. Sacks, we got 5 in this game, right, which you love to see, up from 23 to 28th. That's a good for a jump from 18th up to 12th or 6th after ties. Passes defensed, we got that 10, so we go from 59 up to 69, which keeps us in first place. New England actually is right behind us, I think at 67. Third downs, we had a marginal decrease from 45.8% to 44.3%, but we do remain 29th currently in the league. Key points analysis, did we break down? Well, additional key points and analysis. Did we win? Yes, we did. We love to see it. And a quick drive-by-drive breakdown. Dolphins received the ball to start. They punt after 8 plays. So we didn't start off the game how we have normally started off, with a good first drive, a good scripted drive. But the good thing is they actually were able to have offensive success after that. So we may have punted on the first drive, but then we get it to the Panthers. We force a pretty quick punt, and special teams comes through, because this is where, and this really, honestly, this really set the tone and the momentum for the game. We get that punt, we recover it, and we actually push our way into the end zone for 7 points. So 7-0 Dolphins. The Panthers then then do answer by driving down the field after 6 plays to get a touchdown, making it 7-7. That was capped off by the Cam Newton run. Dolphins punt after 7 plays. Panthers interception. Move to the second quarter. Dolphins go 3 and out. Panthers interception. Dolphins then score a touchdown after 3 plays. They got set up in good field position, and the Dolphins offense took advantage of that. That's something that you like to see. 14-7 then the game was. Panthers then go 3 and out. Dolphins score another touchdown on their next drive after 6 plays, making it 21-7. They had to drive the length of the field on that one. Love to see it. Panthers then go 3 and out. Dolphins punt. Panthers punt. Dolphins fumble. Panthers field goal after 1 play to end the half, making it 21-10. So there was a little bit of stalling out in there, but then obviously we picked it back up again. Although having scored 21 points in the first half, not going to complain about it. Although you do like to see a little bit more offensive efficiency, but hopefully that will be something that will be able to continue to grow. Again, my biggest issue there is that we just don't have very many playmakers. The offensive line is still pretty much shit. It's just basically Tua masking it. So honestly, look, as long as Tua can stay healthy the rest of the year, I think we have a decent chance of having some relative success on the offense, at least maybe even to the point where we get to the league average in scoring, right, of around 24 points. And if we do that, then there are certainly going to be a number of winnable games going down the stretch, potentially the rest of them. But again, we'll get to that, you know, in the what it takes to get to the playoffs video, and we'll take that 1 week at a time based off of how things go. So moving to the third quarter, Panthers receive the ball. They punt after 7 plays. Dolphins then go down and get a touchdown. This is where Jason Sanders missed his extra point, so it was 27-10. Panthers go 3 and out. Dolphins then get a field goal. They just start, you know, putting the dagger in to make sure that there's no chance of them coming back. 10 plays, drive down the field, take a bunch of time off the clock, kick the field goal, make it 30-10. Panthers then throw an interception. Dolphins then kick another field goal, 33-10. Panthers turnover on downs. Dolphins end the game after 2 plays to get their 5th victory of the season, their 4th in a row, and setting them up in, you know, a position to make a run. And so will they? We will have to see. Obviously, again, 1 week at a time. I'll talk about a little bit more in depth in my what it will take to make the playoffs. But with the way things are shaping up, obviously our odds are improving, and the more we continue to win, the obviously the higher it will go. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Before I do, make sure you check out the Rave On Sports App, the new fan-driven sports app for all your sports: basketball, baseball, football, college, whatever you like. And they're looking to enhance your game day experience with live play-by-play coverage, live chats with other fans and content creators like myself. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.